In November 1960, 11-year-old Virginia Campbell lived in Sauchie near Alloa and became the focus of a poltergeist. Virginia's parents were older, with her father James remaining in Ireland on the family farm, while Annie, her mother, worked in Dollar. With the move from the Moville area in Donegal, Virginia found it difficult to adjust to begin with. She'd been parted from her beloved pet dog, Toby, and her young friend, although it didn't take her long to make some new friends. The house the family moved into, 19 Park Crescent, belonged to Virginia's uncle and aunt, Thomas and Isabella Campbell, and Virginia shared her younger cousin Margaret's bedroom. All was well to begin with, but on Tuesday, 22nd November, both girls began hearing strange noises as they lay in bed. They heard a sound that was like a ball bouncing off a wall, but they couldn't see anyone or explain it, so they went downstairs to tell the adults. The sound seemed to follow them down the stairs, but then stopped. They returned to their bed shortly afterwards, only to be frightened once more, this time by the sound of the headboard banging. They moved to a different room, but this continued until Virginia fell asleep, and that's when it stopped. Scratching noises could be heard frequently, not in one specific part of the house, but all over. Then things began to get really strange. Items would go missing only to appear weeks later. A linen basket lid opened of its own accord, and ornaments moved without anyone being near them. Furniture too began to be moved with no one near. One instance of this happened the Wednesday following the bouncing ball incident. Thomas and Isabella watched as their sideboard was moved several inches from its place by a wall. It then seemed to be pushed back by the unseen entity. Soon word got round Sauchie of the haunted house. The family's nerves by this time were frayed, as that same Wednesday night the knocking got so loud in the house that neighbours heard it. At their wits' end, the Campbells enlisted the help of the local minister, T.W. Lund. He visited the house, but there was little he could do. He looked around, inspecting the bedroom minutely, and told the family that the knocks were coming from inside the headboard and from the wooden frame. He is also said to have witnessed the linen box make its way across the floor of the bedroom jerkily, only to move back to its original position. By this stage, young Margaret had fled, spooked by what she'd seen, but as things settled down, the girls were told it was safe to go to bed. When Margaret was told to get into the bed, the violence erupted once more. Further strange happenings occurred on Thursday, 24th November, with a sewing machine turning itself on and a vase and apple moving of their own accord. What is odd about this case was that the poltergeist seemed to have attached itself to Virginia, and where she went, it went. One day at the local Fairfield school, she sat with her arms on her desk, and Margaret Stewart, her teacher, happened to see her struggling with the lid. She asked what she was doing and told her to remove her hands. Suddenly the lid flew open and it began flapping, hammering down 3 times. All her classmates began screaming at the sight, especially after one of the desks rose off the floor by 3 inches. Another strange incident happened at the school on Monday 28th, when the pointer vibrated, followed by Miss Stewart feeling the table vibrate. Virginia was close by, but not touching either of these items. The following day, she moved to a different house, where Dr. William Logan of the Tillicoultry Health Centre visited her with his wife, who was also a doctor. They too witnessed knockings, and this led to Dr. Logan and Dr. Nesbitt of the same practice setting up a cine camera to try and capture the strange phenomena. Between 9 p.m. and 10:30 p.m, knocks were recorded, as was furniture moving. Dr. Nesbitt sedated Virginia, who was hysterical all the time the phenomenon was appearing, but even so, the poltergeist still appeared. At one stage, both he and the minister witnessed the rippling of Virginia's pillow and watched as it rotated on her bed. Nesbitt is later quoted saying, "What has taken place was not conjured by the child herself. An outside agent is responsible. Believe me, something unfortunate has been going on in that house." On Friday, 2nd December, the story hit the press. The Alloa Journal reported that her aunt was once pushed off her bed when trying to comfort her, and the sheets and blanket rose and fell of their own accord, while Virginia was making little moaning noises, as though in pain. The Journal also interviewed James Henderson of the Spiritualist Church in Alloa, who stated that he believed the girl had psychic abilities, and he suggested that a responsible medium be taken to her to help her. However, the night the cine camera was set up, the Reverend Lund and 3 other clergymen had arrived and said prayers, hoping it would help. While they were saying "The Lord is my shepherd," there were numerous bang, bang, bangs throughout the citation. After they left, further noises were recorded between 11:30 and 12:15. Lund later described the experience as very humbling, and that he had been in the presence of forces hitherto almost unknown. Between December and January, whenever Virginia was at school, strange things would happen. Books and jotters were regularly seen floating in the classroom when she was there. A bowl of bulbs slid across a desk, and an apple was seen levitating in front of the pupils. At home, a shaving brush was also seen levitating, and footsteps were heard. Because so many responsible people witnessed the incidents, and the poltergeist travelled with her, it makes it one of the most intriguing cases in Scotland. She even gave him a name, Wee Hughie. By March 1961, she'd been reunited with her dog Toby. She was happy and had made new friends. It was around this time that the poltergeist left and never darkened Virginia's, the Campbells, or Miss Stewart's door again. Many years later, the case was re-examined by Malcolm Robinson and Brian Allen. They interviewed Miss Stewart, Dr. Logan, and a member of the Campbell family, who all recounted the same information that they'd given back in 1961. Miss Stewart also confirmed that the poltergeist only seemed to be active during one particular week in every 28 days. Not long after this, the family moved from Sauchie to Bedford in England. Whatever the cause, This episode in Scotland's history remains one of the country's most enduring poltergeist chapters. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's history, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.